think about APIs, and the general public will probably be wondering, what are these APIs that people typically talk about?
What is an API? Tell us what an API is.
What's an API, right? So an API is also known as an application programmable interface. At InterSwitch today, the way we understand APIs, or the way we look at APIs, or the way we interpret APIs is as a product rather than code, right? And that's demonstrated in how we sort of categorize our APIs in our API marketplace, right? So we have, for example, we have things like accept payment, right? We have things like send money, and we have different ways of sending money. We could typically say, oh, for a business that wants to do a single transfer, we have that provision or that API for that. We also have for the bulk transfers, right? We also have for the typical agent cash out, which is like for the agent locations as well. We have those APIs that basically provision them for that. And then we have so many others, right? Today we can boast of over 100 plus APIs that we are basically churning out through this API marketplace. However, as the business head, we would like to hear more of what's actually coming, right? What's actually coming in terms of these API marketplace.
Okay, so to try to simplify the definition of APIs a bit more, it's a software intermediary. It's a way for two systems to communicate with each other. InterSwitch is, being the mothership of, payment. We've actually had, a lot of solutions and services, that we've extended to our partners via APIs for quite a long time. The first set of APIs that InterSwitch extended out, date as far back as 2008. They went RESTful and all the really, cool ones.
I was in high school then.
Yeah, so
I was in high school
you don't have
then.
to diss me, please. So it's pretty much just a way to exchange information, thereby enabling you extend your services to your partners. Okay, so we've built a lot of these cool solutions. The world started moving towards software as a service, started moving towards remote connectivity and things like that. I mean, not everybody wants you to come and deploy a solution in their location. So APIs started to build up and become a thing where you can have your service and you can enable third parties use your services to create to innovate on their own side, run their own products, or just even run their businesses. And from a business perspective, one of the main things we're focusing on doing is empowering businesses to do what they do. Okay, and it goes beyond just payments. So whether you collect, whether you want to disburse or pay out, whether you're running a loan company, and you want to pay out your loans or collect your loans, whether you want to send out SMSs, whether you want to manage cards. I mean, irrespective of the business you do, we have a service for you, and we can give you access to that service via APIs, right? We currently have, I think, we're the company with the single largest number of services across not just payments but identity services and and so on and so forth. Right? Like we literally can power a fintech, from all the way from when the customer signs up on the mobile app, the authentication, the OTP. To the transactional things that happen inside, funding your wallet, checking your balance, all the way through to, pulling your statement, to the dashboards that the admins use to manage the platform. Like we literally can power an entire fintech end to end. That shows you the power of or the breadth or the depth of InterSwitch services. And we're really trying to focus on allowing people to access these services. Innovate with them and build businesses and to help them prosper.
I like that you actually said that allowing businesses or helping business end to end and helping them prosper, right? It actually brings my mind back to what does that mean for small businesses, right? So I mean, when I say small businesses might not have the financial capability to build an app end to end, right? How can InterSwitch help them to sort of like go to market fast, right? We understand that there's a lot of funding coming into the African market, right? There's a lot of digitization going on, right? But for small businesses, like small, medium businesses, right? How can InterSwitch APIs really just help them grow, or help them scale, or help them just build that MVP that they need to sort of like pitch their idea to probably investors and stuff?
So I think that irrespective of the size of your business, a business is pretty much an entity that either provides a service or goods and wants to get paid in that sense, right? There might be other variations, but I'll just zone in on that to try to answer the question. And for businesses who want to pay or get paid, or take advantage of our identity services, they will need some investment in technical expertise to access the APIs. However, while we also understand that there are businesses who may not want to, or who may not want to have such huge investments, we provide a lot of our services as SaaS, software as a service, where they can access directly through by just signing up. So I'll give a typical example. So a business who wants to host or sell their goods online, for instance, if you sign up to our particular business platform and you don't have the technology experience to do an actual integration, so you can take advantage of our storefront solution, where you pretty much host a website for you. You just go in there, design it any way you like, pick your colors, host your products, and then you automatically have access to all our payment options, and you can start your business like that, without even having any technology knowledge or making any technology investments. Okay, so we've looked at that, but in addition to that, we're also looking at other types of businesses and thinking of ways to help them start off quicker, by providing them, whole services and enabling them to just, with a few clicks, go live with their business.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. But I look at that from two sides, right? So the SME on its own, right? And I look at the talent pool as well, right? What would you say that InterSwitch is looking to do, right? I mean, coming from an insider perspective, looking at what does InterSwitch hope to do in terms of our APIs, and how do we empower this talent pool of developers, right? Because from a product perspective, my understanding, right, is that these developers, right, they are the core of what we are building, right? So the documentation, the developer console, it's core to them. The developer is our main focus, right? So how are we going to empower these guys as well? What tools and services are we giving to these guys to sort of like support these businesses, right? How do we use the community as well to empower them to innovate, to not just sit still and do more, right?
Okay, so this is the first step, talking about it, putting the information out there. I'm sure a lot of people were surprised when I started talking about the breadth of services that we have. Most businesses are usually known for maybe just doing collections or one thing or the other, right? But InterSwitch pretty much has all these businesses in one. Okay? So the first thing to do is to create that awareness, and that's what we're trying to do, to let people know that you can do these things. The second way is to create that access. Make it intuitive, just make it easy to the eyes, easy on the eyes, make it accessible and let it just work. People need to be able to go there, find what they want very easily, integrate very easily, have up-to-date FAQs, so that they can check if they're having problems, have support people on standby to be able to chat with, those basics. And then, further than that, is engagement, continuous engagement. You told them, you've given them access, what else are you doing about it? Are you telling them about the new stuff? Are you taking their feedback to improve your services? Are you partnering with them so that they can innovate with your services? Because, no matter how big we are, we can't think of everything. There are people out there who, if they have access to your service, they can create new value chains, in verticals that you probably never even thought of, with your services. And with that, we're growing a larger ecosystem and ensuring that we stay at the core of it, right? So we've improved our documentation. We've tried to really go through it, get feedback from customers, and try to improve the lingo, try to improve the organization of the items just to make them a bit more, so that people can find things and stuff like that. And then we have major plans to do a lot of engagement. I mean, InterSwitch has done, tech events in the past. Tried to made a few attempts to engage developers and even train young developers, so that we can introduce more people to tech. But there's a lot more to be done, so you guys should watch the space for some more developer engagement. And I don't know, maybe you can tell us a bit more about from the product, from the product perspective, some of the efforts that you've put in terms of engagement.
So in terms of engagement, right, we see our developers as our primary customer, right, as opposed to just the founders and the business owners, right? So what we have done is that we structured our conversation with the developers, right? And the first thing we actually did was we got their feedback on our documentation, right? And a lot of the feedback was majorly them not understanding the attributes of our documentation. And we got to know that they wanted to understand the requests that they would be sending and the responses that they'll be getting, right? Now, so what that gave us, right, at the core was that we needed to break down our services because there are so many, they are so vast, and they're everly changing, right? We decided to break it down in 3 subsections, right? So for the new user or for the existing user of our APIs, there's a subsection in our documentation that speaks to getting started, right? This getting started typically speaks to how APIs were built, the RESTful APIs, the SOAP APIs, whatever the API is, you would probably see how it's defined in there. You would find the KYC requirements for each of the services that we have given out there, because for you to go live as a business, you need to fulfill some KYC requirements, right? So this getting started basically entails all of these: how to sign up as a business, how to sign up as a developer as well, right? And it gives you a brief sense of the kinds of authorization that we have. So I'll briefly just touch on that, right? At InterSwitch today, we currently have 2 types of authorizations, right? So we use InterSwitch Auth and we use OAuth 2.0, right? Now, InterSwitch Auth is sort of a bit of a legacy authorization technique, right? Years back, this API play was something huge and we had to innovate around it. So that's when InterSwitch Auth had to come into play, right? And when OAuth came into the game, we went primarily with it and we fixed up with our new APIs, right? But that does not mean that we are not primarily trying to get up to standard with the open specification that we have out there, right? In terms of our APIs and our governances, right? We are getting there, however, we're taking those steps little by little to actually get there and standardize everything across the board. Now, bringing us back to the conversation of our documentation. So there's the getting started, which I just explained, and then there's the user guide, right? So this user guide explains to that user on how to use that service. So the first thing it tells you is this endpoint does this, right? And then it gives you a process flow of how to integrate that endpoint. So it takes you on that journey of this is the definition of your endpoint, right? And this is the process flow to integrating with the endpoint. That in its own sense gives you a sense of direction, right? And then we didn't stop there. We went further to give you what are the types of requests that you would primarily send to integrate this endpoint, right? So the request and the successful response, we did that as well. Now we went a step further to actually create some references, right? So that's the third part, and that's actually the most exciting part for me, right? So you'll find that in our documentation today, you can actually test these endpoints live, right? Yes, you can actually test these endpoints live. And what that does for you is that as a business owner, you don't have to be too tech savvy to actually test an endpoint. So because what we have done is that we have put in those parameters for you, and we have just created the try it button that basically enables you just click on that button, try it, and you see the results you're supposed to get. Now, what that simply means is that we have bridged that gap between the business owner and the developer, right? So when the developer comes on board, he's going to do his entire integration, but then you already have a heads up of this endpoint works, and it gives me the solution that I need, right? So that's really our documentation in a nutshell, right? And what we're going to continue doing to foster growth for us is that we're going to continue improving on this, right? As we onboard new APIs, as we think of new things to do, right, we're going to onboard them in this format so we don't lose charge of what we have done, right? And for us, it's a thing of pride that we are able to have this communication with the developer community and they are satisfied with the work that we have done so far. And then we're even moving further to open conversations around partnerships, conversations around hackathons like you mentioned earlier. InterSwitch has done stuff like that in the past and we're looking to do more of that in the coming months. We have events lined up for the rest of the year that we will be engaging the developer community and we're really excited about this. I mean, for us, it's day one. It's really day one for us at the InterSwitch API Marketplace business.
You talked about partnerships. I think it's a major part of our API strategy. Despite the fact that we have all the services that we have available to put out there as APIs, there are those that we don't. Okay? And one of the ways to make sure that we can bridge that gap and build one of the largest API ecosystems to make sure that we can serve businesses across Africa is moving through partnerships. So we're really going to be taking a lot of partnerships very seriously. That strategy is key to us succeeding in this because there are a lot of partners who have also built out really cool solutions out there, and we're open to working with them to take it to Africa, that kind of thing. So
yeah, and that's actually very interesting because our partnerships help us grow, right? We're trying to build a prosperous Africa for even the common man, right? So, and this partnerships basically just make sure that everyone has the right tools and has the right services to actually build upon, right? And remember in the conversation we were having earlier where we said people build use cases out of little things. I remember a conversation I had with the engineering head some time ago where he said, we built USSD, our USSD platform 723, we built it just to service our customers and we put it on the QTB platform and someone else built it in a different way, in a different model that typically enables his own users, right? So for us, partnership is key to developing Africa, right? We want to build this digital ecosystem for ourselves and for Africans, right? And within Africa, right? So it's really that conversation of you have these two, let's work together, let's build this API marketplace, I have this solution, let's work with it, right? And let's just continue to innovate around these things. And that for us is a thing of pride. Okay. So we've had different conversations on our API marketplace, right? However, I wanted to segue the conversation into like something I saw on Twitter like I think 2 years ago. And there was this tweet about how InterSwitch collects like 200K before you can do a primary integration. And I was like, what? And then I remember like, it was a heated conversation between like a couple of guys, right? Do you want to just speak to that? Because I mean, it's a purported lie that's going on around with that, and it needs to be addressed, right? I think it's actually really a conversation to be had.
It came from somewhere. We were first movers in the collection business, and that was the business model. We actually used to collect fees to give access to the service for you to even integrate. But I think this was abolished many years ago. We don't collect any money. It's absolutely free. Visit our API documentation. The URL should be showing above my hand. It is free to access the services. You don't need to pay anything. We've made it easy. We've made it, in a few steps you can access it. It will improve your time to market, reduce your expenses. You'll get a top quality experience, and you can run your business or just innovate. Build out new stuff from all the services that we provide. However, just to put it out there, to run certain types of businesses, you will need certain types of licenses, and all that information will be available on the platform. And we will also create like use case stories, for different businesses, and each of those stories, the list of requirements will also be there, so that before time you know what you need to do to access certain services. But accessing the services are absolutely free. It comes at zero cost.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you basically just address that issue there, because I mean, for us now, we like I always say, it's really day one for us, right? And we don't want that bad press in the market that says, oh, we talk about all of this and then we say, oh, there's some money to be paid for this. And we're really bullish on access, right? And that stems from payment collections, lending services, cardless withdrawals, even card services, right? We're very bullish on that. We have the brand called Verve that we're basically influx into the market to basically increase access, increase adoption, right? For card payments today in Nigeria. What we've really done around collections is that we have even broken it down into 3 aspects, right? So you have your online store collections, right, which is collections that you can do on your online store. We have the in-store, right, where you can actually request a POS, right, for your in-store conversations or collection of value, right? And you can also have sort of like your mobile collections as well. However, that's not majorly what we do, but I mean, I understand that that's what we've been known for over the years, right? And to even just move that conversation forward, right? I mean, today, APIs, would you say they are, would you say that they are something that have come to stay? What do you think about the future of APIs for us? I mean, I asked you this question because primarily I believe for me, my answer might be different, but your answer might vary for the future of APIs, right? But yeah.
APIs are not going anywhere. This is just the beginning. If you think of the fundamentals of APIs and why they were created in the first place, it's simply put, it's not going to be anywhere. Because systems must communicate. There must be a way for them to interact. With SaaS blowing up, software as a service companies and platforms blowing up, having an API is a necessity. It's a requirement. Once upon a time, it just used to be this cool, nice to have.
A code.
But yeah, exactly. Right? But now you build a platform and you don't have, a platform you expect third parties to access, and you don't have API. So I think that it is a necessity, it's a requirement, because the possibilities are endless. Once you give access to your platform, you mentioned the ability for third parties to innovate, speed to market, reduction in cost. I mean, there are only benefits. So I think that this is just the beginning. The future will be run on APIs. The future of technology will be run on APIs.
I absolutely and genuinely believe that APIs are here to stay, right? And today you see companies that run on those business models, right? Primarily pushing the conversation around aggregating APIs in one solution and reselling it as a B2B solution, as a business-to-business solution, or as a business-to-customer solution, right? You see companies that they primarily just aggregate these APIs, different APIs that do different core functions.
And that's their entire business model.
And that's their entire business model, and they're really just selling that out. So I could literally just start up a business that literally just does that, and I'm literally making cool money on my own. So I think that's the future of where we're trying to go. That's how we're trying to go, right? I recently came across an application that basically buys gift cards, and behind the scenes, what really powers that is typically cryptocurrency. And I was like, wow, like how did these guys do this? But really, the reality is that they just typically just bridge that gap of that conversation, right? And I mean, for us at the marketplace, like I always say, it's day one for us, right? So we're really calling out on these ecosystem players, whether from the lending space, from different angles of the payment spectrum, right? To really, let's collaborate, let's innovate together, right? We want to build systems that will empower Africa, right? And for us, like, like I always say, right, we are open to partnerships, we are open to these things, and we want to innovate, right? So maybe we can get last thoughts from you as well on like this conversation, this ecosystem play, this how do we go from here as InterSwitch in terms of APIs, right? What's to come, right? Where do you see InterSwitch APIs in the next 6 months?
Well, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But we're going to be right in the middle of these conversations. Where there's going to be a lot of engagement from us. We're currently working on slowly, building up our API community. On Slack, we're aggregating these services. We're talking to key partners. We have over 30 services, over 100 API endpoints, and another 20 to 30 or so via partnerships in the pipeline. So we're really just working hard on creating this vast API ecosystem that will support
sort of like a one-stop
different
shop.
Exactly, a one-stop shop support different verticals across Africa. So I'm pretty certain that no matter what kind of business you run, you will be able to find something at InterSwitch, and we're not going to leave our developer community out of it, because they are the ones that create the magic. They're the ones that will be building for the future. So we're looking forward to a lot of engagements with them, to bring them on board, and possibilities are endless and limitless.
I like that, endless possibilities.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. And like we always say with our different brands, everything is possible, right? Everything is possible with our services. And for me, like as a product person, as a developer experience person, I always want to innovate. I always want to build. I'm open to these collaboration conversations. As a business head as well, is here to innovate with the ecosystem. So for us, we love what we do. We're here for you. We're here to create this access for you.
Hi, I'm Nana Eni. So I manage the digital ecosystems business at InterSwitch, where we're trying to focus on open banking and pushing out our API platform out in the market to help businesses across Africa prosper.
Hi, my name is Tochiko Achebe. I work as a product and developer experience person at InterSwitch. What I do primarily on a day-to-day is I basically manage the API marketplace, provide solutions for our developers, and basically relate with our developers on a day-to-day basis. I want to build, I enjoy this, and let's continue building together. And we will typically share this Slack link. You can find it on developer.interswitchgroup.com. Our community is there. It's free to join. Along the way, we would also be sending our gift packs to our community members as well. And we'll be having events in the coming months. These events will be online and offline, right? We understand the issues with COVID, the pandemic, right? And we are very, very bullish on being safe, right? So we'll have online events, and when the time is right, we will have in-person events, and we'll take it from there. Pandemic will never stop innovation, and we will continue to innovate, right? So yeah.
So please join the Slack channel. Let's build the future of Africa.